Great. That is a cool piece of news.
Thank you guys for sharing, by the way. The question I have is for, especially for Mr. Yamamoto, but here it relates to all of your films. You said that you changed your, or re-edited your movie about 40 times, and you didn't make the change. Did you make those changes to suit your own vision as you rewatched it at these showings, or was it due to the feedback that you were getting during the show?
So yeah, was the editing based on your own decisions, or were you getting feedback that led to these editing changes?
The first 5 years of the documentary production, there were maybe 60 or 80 completely structurally different versions of the film, of which we were tracking 4 individual stories. So it was 4 completely different films, full music, sound edited, because we were tracking the stories of these kids. And some of these kids would either be disinterested, or the character never fleshed out at the end, or their parents decided to move, or their parents were deported, and so we were looking for another story. And so it wasn't until we met with Marlene, our main character, in our 6th year, that we made structural changes. And it wasn't until about the 100th structural change that I started to preview it to my fellow filmmakers. And like you say, it's invaluable what other people react.
So bad. It hurts. Though.
First thing the first thing that we showed to, actually he was a festival director. He said, "This film makes no sense whatsoever." With 1,000 Pieces of Gold, our dramatic film, the first thing that a seasoned filmmaker said, "I find your main character completely unsympathetic." And what do? The film is shot completely unsympathetic. And I said, well, it's a story about a Chinese woman who comes to America as a slave and regains her freedom through a gambling bet. What better heroism can you find? He said, I find her completely unsympathetic. Read my lips. And it's like, so you listen to, it was the last 4 months of showing my film to a few seasoned editors, writers, and producers. And fewer directors, because directors like to make their own film. They'll say, you know what you should do is you should reshoot this.
Well, but even so, that's an occupational hazard. But even so, even when people give a reaction that you don't necessarily agree to, their oftentimes their suggestions are not as helpful as their reaction.
Right.
Their reaction is important, and what they like is as important as what they don't like.
Exactly.
So that, everyone's response is really helpful.
It is helpful and it's valuable.
Incredibly painful, hurts every time.
What we did find out was that where the beats were and how to structure. In my case, my story has parallel stories going on at the same time, and it was too confusing for an audience to watch time jumps, and we did it very quickly and often, past, future, present, past, future, present. And it really dawned on me that through the many comments that I had to create a device, and that's where it led us to, and it's in fine shape. No one ever questions that they ever get lost. It's the same footage, really. It was something as simple as a piece of music or sound, and a sound engineer said, we're going to see this music here? I'm going to play it backwards for you. That's how we're knowing. We're cueing the audience that we're going back. And it's like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Why weren't you in my office 2 years ago?
Sound people are the best. They really are. Sound's when all the things you can't fix get fixed. Or a lot of them.
And some comments you just don't pay any attention to.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Yes.
I have a question about the long post-production process? It seems like production and post-production is concurrent in these like 7-year, 9-year projects. I'm curious about the process. Do you transcribe all your footage? Do you edit as you keep shooting? And how does that push and pull sort of happen, and how does it affect the outcome?
Well, for me, yeah, we did transcribe all of the audio. So I shot in 16mm film. My shooting ratio was only like 8:1, so I only had like 8 hours of footage total for like a 70-minute film. But we had about 60 hours of audio, and so all of that was transcribed and yeah, like highlighted, you know, in different colors, sections.
But as you shoot in the 9 years, like, you know, so you keep transcribing as you shoot, or do you wait until the very end?
Oh no, transcribe as you shoot, absolutely. So, because that helps you understand where the story's going, you know, and what material you already have, and how your material sort of adds up to say what you're trying to say and what you need, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think in the process, definitely.
I have a transcriber. Every breath, every every ah, everything. Verite, interviews. If it's a verite in a room like this, and it's man with sunglasses, that's the man with the sunglasses who says this. It is everything. It has to be everything. Because as you go through your messy room of characters and story, you start to clean up from the corner, and then you discover something. It's like, oh my Lord, look what they said. And you don't realize that until very late in the process. You have become familiar with all the little scraps of conversations that have been going on, and as an editor, you're witnessing and absorbing all 100 whatever hours of material. And with performances in editing dramatic films, it's like, you know, scene 3, take 15, line 56, this person said this, he's sympathetic. Here he's angry. I'm going to use the angry take. I want some friction between mother and daughter. It's just not explained enough over here in the script, but if I can show in a performance that there's some tension, it doesn't have to be explained, but it's there. Can I show it to you? And you start to memorize every little beat that goes on, and you have to. And I go to my Word document and I find everything, or they don't quite finish the sentence, and then you have them. They say it again in another way, more eloquently, and I stuff that into their mouth, and you watch it on the screen and you say, "Wow, they said that, but they really didn't."
And follow up with another question. So then, like, do you do a paper edit and then a picture edit, and how was that?
I have a room as big as this, sometimes with scraps of paper, all on the floor, and I start to look at it, and it's nonlinear. It's the first nonlinear system in the world, and then I start to clean up the room. It's like here's this beat, and it tosses to this beat. And here's this turn, and this character says this about his cousin, and then his cousin reacts over here, and I find all these little beats, and then I look at it, and I say, here's Act 1, here's Act 2, and here's Act 3. Here's the turning point that really happens. But wait, let's switch this around. Now this is the turning point, and I really kind of, sometimes I take a camera and I photograph what's on the floor as a way of memorizing what I had a month ago, or a week ago, or a day ago. And then I transcribe each and every previewed screening. So I show a rough cut, and I transcribe the entire film with every single word. And someone will make a comment about, you know, I didn't quite understand what happened here. And you think for sure that you cut in the explanation, and it's like, well, someone else said that too. Someone else said, I didn't understand this, but the information's in there, and you have to wonder why no one got it. And so you look for all the other ways that person has explained this through your hundreds of pages digitally, and you can find them with words, and then you paste it in, and you discover that that's the missing piece in the puzzle. And it's always moving. I don't know, it's kind of a mess.
Thank you.
But